This week we conclude the book of Numbers, Sefer Bamidbar, with a double reading of its last two Torah portions, Matot and Masei. These two portions are generally read together most years, but this Shabbat is also Rosh Chodesh Menachem Av, the first day of the new month, the month in Hebrew called the Consoling Father. And indeed, both portions are always read during this particular period of time, the annual period of our focus on the destruction and rebuilding of the Holy Temple, the days known in Hebrew as Bein HaMitzarim, between the straits. Our first portion of Matot begins with Moshe giving over to the heads of the tribes a new commandment of Hashem, the laws of vows and oaths and their annulment. In addition to teaching us a great deal about the sheer power of the words that come forth from our mouths, these laws also emphasize the integrity of the family unit, which was assaulted in the disaster of the Midianite women. But it's all very deep, and all about the power and seriousness of speech. There's the neder, a type of vow by which a person can sanctify something, and a shavua, an oath through which one could prohibit something in oneself or obligate oneself to perform a particular deed. All out of a desire to grow closer to Hashem. A person can take upon themselves an extra stringency, and Torah is revealing that words can affect change. With words, a person can vow something to the Holy Temple or change something's status. With words, we can sanctify something for a divine purpose. And there are many details to learn about all of these concepts of vows and oaths, but open up your heart. Why is this concept, the commandment concerning vows, why is it being given here and now as the book of Numbers winds down and the new generation is finally making preparations to enter the land? Why was this not given previously to the generation of the wilderness? After all, so much about the book of Numbers and that generation of the wilderness was about words and their results. The sin of the spies, the rebellion of Korach, complaining about the manna, the evil speech against Moshe, the confession of the Sota, the Nazirite vow, the priestly blessing, the question brought about Pesach Sheni, the power of the words of Bilam, the request of the daughters of Tzilafchad. Look how much has been influenced by and changed by words. And again, looking back at that remarkable generation of the wilderness, despite all their shortcomings, Torah testifies that they were spiritual beings who could almost be compared to angels, as Psalms chapter 78 and verse 25 alludes to. Humans ate the bread of angels. These people ate manna and drank the water of Miriam's well. They were constantly surrounded by protective clouds of divine glory. And therefore, open up your heart in the deepest way, they were far from physical desires. Material lusts were not at all relevant to who they were. Such desire was totally distant from them on the level of what the essence of their souls was really all about. And thus we learn back in chapter 11 of Parashat Bahalotcha regarding the rabble among them, those who cultivated a craving. The Hebrew there informs us, hit'avu ta'ava, which literally means they craved to crave, because on account of their spiritual nature, they had no material desire at all, and they craved to have the desire to eat meat in order for them to experience material desire, because they were so far from it. But the goal in making a vow of abstention, as Rambam explains, is to help prepare oneself for an extra measure of sanctity, to separate further from material desire. And so this was totally irrelevant to and unnecessary for the generation of the desert. And the deepest truth is that there's something about this idea of the power of words that is intrinsically relevant to this new generation, the generation that will be entering into the land of Israel, a land flowing with milk and honey, whose food will be the fruit of the land. These people will be challenged not to be drawn after material desires, not to be overpowered by the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, and the laws of the vows are to help them overcome their physical desires when they become overwhelming. As opposed to the passive nature of the generation of the desert, the generation of the land is all about doing, all about involvement with this world for the purpose of elevating it. And all that ensues within the land will be the result of their own initiative. The power of speech that was given here to these people is very special. The ability to make a vow as an expression of a desire to do more, to go the distance, to express an extra level of holiness, it fits in perfectly with the new reality of the land. A vow is a transformative device, channeling the power of words to enable words to create a new reality. This is a manifestation of the proactive generation of the land. The portion of Matot ends with the children of Gad and Reuven receiving and conquering and settling the land they sought on the eastern side of the Jordan. And they're promised to act as vanguard in the nation's battle. So we would think that the natural progression would now be for our second portion of Masei to pick up the thread and continue with the verses which we only first find beginning in verse 51. Hashem spoke to Moshe in the plains of Moab by the Jordan at Jericho, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you cross the Jordan to the land of Canaan, you shall drive out all the inhabitants of the land before you, etc. You shall possess the land, and you shall settle in it. For to you have I given the land to possess it. You shall give the land as an inheritance by lot to your families. To the many you shall increase its inheritance, and to the few you shall decrease its inheritance." This would be picking up exactly where our first portion of Matot ended, on the matter of tribal inheritance. For after all the focus now is on preparing to enter the land. So why then, in the middle of the whole process for preparing to enter and inherit the land, why does Torah interrupt with a recollection of all the way stations of the desert through which the children of Israel traversed over the past 40 years? And the whole goal all along has been to enter the land, whose moment is now finally drawing close. So what is the point in recalling all of these journeys, which were only a means to the end of inheriting the land, had no intrinsic value themselves? But the truth is that all of us, all of our lives, we are always on a journey. And so now, for this generation, it's essential to be reminded that we're always on a journey. And what's more, they need to know that even when entering into the promised land, we're still on a journey. All of us, wherever we are, all of our lives are part of a great journey, leading up to the redemption of all the world. And each one of us plays a vital part. And open up your heart in the deepest way to Hashem's amazing timing that we read this now on Rosh Chodesh of this month of Menachem Av. A human being was not created to be stationary, to be standing in one place. The road goes ever on. We must be ascending spiritually and improving ourselves, refining our humanity hour by hour and moment by moment. Expressed as the secret of the verse in Psalms 84, they go from strength to strength. And this is the greatest secret. So too, the land of Israel constantly reveals new levels of knowledge, great sublime spiritual lights, because its inner essence, the very essence of the land, is constantly being renewed. And at each moment, it's a completely new land. So much so that it changes hour by hour. The revelation of the land of Israel is a constant process taking place forever, ascending level upon level, and its truest and most infinite light will only be revealed in the future. And this is the secret of the words, as we find in Leviticus 19:23, "V'chi tavo el haaretz," when you shall come to the land, because at every moment we are coming into a brand new land. And because the very land itself is constantly renewing itself, and its light is constantly strengthening, therefore all those who dwell in it are also in a state of perpetual motion, of constantly moving forward and renewing, and therefore they are constantly being tested in order to rise to the next level. This renewal is the secret of Hashem's words to Abraham in Genesis 13, "Arise, walk about the land." And each moment in the land of Israel is like just being born at this moment. But the deepest truth in the world, and here you have to open up your heart deeper than ever before, is that those who truly dwell in this land with dedication to Hashem, in this constant state of rebirth which cleanses them of the past, they are free of the illusions of this world. They're blessed with a great clarity of vision that enables them to perceive the deepest truth about this world, which is that this world is only an entranceway to the next world, which is the most important realization of all, the real and only game changer. This concept of the unique, divinely powered, continuous rejuvenation of the land, which in turn leads to a heightened awareness of the true nature of the world, was revealed to those spiritual giants, the forefathers, who knew and felt that they were but sojourners in this land. Open up your heart in the deepest way. The definition of the word sojourn means to stay somewhere temporarily. This is the secret of why we find that the land of Israel is called, for example, in Exodus chapter 6 and verse 4, the land of their sojourning in which they sojourned. And back in Genesis 37, Jacob settled in the land of his father's sojournings. Why was it called the land of sojourning? because it's only in this land that they were able to comprehend life's transience, that we are all just passing through this world. As the holy King David said in Psalm 119, I am a sojourner in this world. He also knew and recognized this wondrous level of the land and merited it. The land of Israel provides more than a reality check. Life in the land of Israel is a reality enhancer. Next week we begin Sefer Devarim, the book of Deuteronomy. Over the period of the last 5 weeks of his life, Moshe spoke the words of the 5th book of the Torah, further exhorting and preparing the children of Israel to cross into the land and preparing them for the time that he would no longer be with them. And indeed, we too are at a crossroads, and indeed we need strength in our time to make the tikkun of truly entering and dwelling in the land of Israel. As we enter into the month of Menachem Av and we intensify our yearning and desire for the Holy Temple, may Hashem bless Israel's leaders and all of us to understand the land's intrinsic holiness and the land's inexorable connection to the people of Israel, and to courageously stand against those who seek to destroy it, and to declare to the world once and for all that Hashem alone is sovereign, that he has commanded his people Israel to inherit and settle the entire land, and to build the Holy Temple, so that the ultimate blessing of the knowledge of God will flow freely from the blessed land to the entire world. Shalom, dear friends. Thank you so much for your support. We appreciate it so very much. It's only your support that enables Jerusalem Lights to continue its outreach of Torah for everyone.